All right, Heather, A through Z.
Let's go S.
I don't got shit for S, Heather. Do you got something for S? Is that what you're saying? Do you know something S? Do you know an S related news story that I don't know?
I don't. I figured that was like a more common letter to do.
Um, you know what? I'm going to salvage this. I can do something with S. It's a trivia point. It's not really a news story, but it's trivia. Um, but Robert Patrick is the only actor to be killed on screen by all four Planet Hollywood founders. And that would be Sylvester Stallone kills him in Copland, Bruce Willis kills him in Die Hard 2, Demi Moore kills him in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, and Arnold Schwarzenegger kills him in T2 Judgment Day.
Who killed him in Charlie's Angels?
Demi Moore.
Wow.
Huh. That is kind of a cool, like, nobody else can probably say that ever.
Especially because Bruce Willis ain't doing shit no more.
Right.
So,
yeah. Wow. That is an interesting fact.
found that out. Thought I'd share that with you guys. I was like, oh, that's really cool. A little bit of a Penta minute. He had his match with Braun Breaker. Looks like he's going to be going into more or less probably a fatal four-way situation. Not their WrestleMania. I've seen people speculating it's going to be Braun, Penta, Finn, and Dominic. Which probably, if it is Dominic and Finn in there too, that's got to spell the end of the Judgment Day, doesn't it? Or at least a splintering of.
Yeah. I mean, depending on how they do it, you could be where they go in there like, yeah, we're going to be teammates, but something could backfire and they lose and then they come back.
Yeah, but just the way they're doing the whole dirty Dom thing, they would have him be like, I want the title. And Finn being like, no, you're not good enough. That's just what I see. But
yeah, they could.
But also, in more Penta news, his brother Ray Phoenix, SmackDown next week. So
nice.
Interesting. They are not on the same show. Which is good. Establish them both as singles competitors, then have some do some tag shit later.
Yeah, you could always come back to that. So
everybody knows them as the Lucha Bros. Let's show them as individuals for a while. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah,
and it makes it so much easier when they're on just different shows. Keep that temptation away. But yeah, and he's going to be Ray Phoenix. That's his name, Ray Phoenix.
Cool.
So
very cool.
Yeah, that was announced earlier tonight on SmackDown. So that's some good news. Also, another good news. The UFL started tonight with the St. Louis Battlehawks beating the fuck out of Houston. Like, horribly so. Like, monumentally so. Let me just double check the final score here. 31-6. They beat the Houston Roughnecks. Which, that's great. Go Battlehawks. Dude, I don't got shit. I mean, I could talk about the history of Hollywood Walk of Fame stars, but depending on what movie we're doing next week, because secret Cinefans we don't actually know yet, we're gonna spin a wheel and do some stuff. But depending on what we end up having, I I might need to save that because it actually would directly tie into something. So, more or less, if we get Snow White, it ties in directly into Snow White. But if not, I'll still give it next week, unless a bunch of other shit happens. I don't got shit. You guys got anything? Do you guys know any news? Anything else crazy happen? Less crazy. Did anything happen in the last week?
Nothing that I could think of. The only the only thing I've been seeing news wise is related to the White Lotus theories of that show. That's all I got.
I ain't seen a damn second of that show,
Yeah.
so I have no idea.
Yeah. That's what my TikTok feed is right now.
No, the only thing I've heard about is just the Snow White being terrible and the bombing and
and that's why I was also putting that off on hold, just in case we actually do that movie.
That movie wise, that's the only news that seems to be. Just every other story just seems to be something about Snow White or somebody making fun of it or somebody memeing it or somebody. It's just all I'm seeing is negative Snow White stuff.
Which is it's really interesting too, because you can always tell, without getting into any of the specific stories necessarily, but like how tilted some of those stories are about stuff, just because you will have people straight up saying Rachel Zegler is the reason why this movie is bombing.
Yeah.
And then
a lot of that.
You have any review of that movie is just going, Rachel Zegler is the only thing worth a damn in this whole movie. It's like, well, how can she be the only good thing in a movie, but also the reason it's bombing? It almost feels like these pieces where they're writing about how it's all her fault, almost like they haven't seen the movie.
You got a point.
But yes, I do have a lot of stuff on that, but like I said, I'll save that just in case. If not, like I said, we'll go all over it.
Oh, you know what? There is one thing. It's too bad we've never had a Z before because this would actually fit. But it's going to start kind of nerdy, but Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct this past week. And this is just a thing they do online where they like talk about the new releases of games, et cetera, et cetera. There's a cool Metroid game coming out. There's a cool Marvel game coming out, like a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but you play Captain America, Wolverine, Venom, and some other people. It looks pretty cool. It's kind of in the spirit of 90s beat 'em up games. That was pretty cool. But the main news and the movie news is that Nintendo launched this app called what is the name of that app? It's like Nintendo Today. And so basically it's their own app where they can do news and they can share like new releases and stuff like that. And they announced a Legend of Zelda live action movie. I believe it's March of 2026 is when it's coming out.
I thought it was 27, but you could be right.
Oh, maybe it is 27. I didn't look. Should have re-looked before I said it, but
That could be interesting if they do it right.
But yeah, but apparently it's going to be live action. You know, I figured they'd do one, but I figured it'd be animated, you know, kind of like how Mario was. But yeah, I guess it's going to be live action. So yeah. But yeah, that was just, I wasn't even thinking about it, but just that's some random video game stuff that led to something about a movie. So there you go. We're finally going to get a Zelda movie.
I knew they were
and I
talking
don't know whether
about
to
it.
be scared or excited for it. We'll see.
I knew that was something they had talked about. It's just, yes, you were right. They did just kind of announce actually the timeline more or less for it.
And it is 2027. Yeah. So my bad. 2027. But one thing I will say about it, though, is that of a lot of the characters that Nintendo has, Zelda being live action makes the most sense. I mean, it does.
One thing I'm surprised about, though, is to me, their most cinematic property, though, is something you just mentioned a little bit ago, Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid would be pretty easy, too.
Yeah.
Because you'd have a human, and it's just a human versus aliens. And she's in a suit. And I mean, with today's CGI, you could do the whole suit. You could do the planets. You could do the Metroids. You could do all of that shit.
You can have her turning into a little tiny ball and rolling under shit.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to see a movie of Super Metroid where you have the little baby Metroid and she was trying to, like, you know, the objective was to go in and destroy it, but then the baby Metroid winds up saving her and shit. That would make a badass movie, I think.
Oh yeah, but I mean, any of the stuff, like, I just, that leans into one of the most easily filmable things ever: a person and aliens.
Yeah,
I mean,
and there's no really other people involved. It was just her.
I mean, that concept of aliens versus people has been around for, I don't know, a fucking damn near a century. They've been making movies with that shit, like.
Yeah, and if you get that guy that directed Romulus, like, get some people that have some, because I think a Metroid movie would need to have the same kind of tone as that. You know what I mean? Like, it's real dark, and
you go that route, or you go the aliens route.
Yeah, where it's just super actiony. Yeah.
But dude, think about a Metroid almost origin story, like a Samus origin story. That's like got the tone of Romulus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could work.
I mean, you change the alien design and change a couple of plot points. Romulus almost is like a Samus origin story at that point. You know what I mean? Like, on a thing, aliens attack it. Afterwards, she's like by herself and like finds some suit they were experimentally designing, dons it, and then the next one is when she's all Metroid, like the Samus the bounty hunter type of thing. So, no, I mean, it's interesting. I'm really curious as to who they'd get to play Link, because I know most people would rather they go the video game route, where Link is a very stoic and silent hero. I think they should go the Link the cartoon. Do you remember that, Jastin? Where that fucker talked all the time? It was technically during Captain Ed.
Excuse me, princess.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea.
Oh, come on, dude. You don't want late 80s, early 90s sassy teenager Link? Oh,
nah.
Oh, Jastin, all the missed opportunities. Like you said, come on, he's got a catchphrase and everything. Excuse me, princess. Dog.
No, please don't do that. Man. God, no. Please don't do that.
Can they at least have a reference to that in the movie? Like, Link is silent, but like have like somebody else bump into the princess or something and they go, "Excuse me, princess."
They probably could. One of those little village people, or like somebody in Kakariko Village or something could do that. One of the little kids could bump into her. But yeah, like who you gonna get to play Link? Who you gonna get to play Princess Zelda?
I know when they first announced it, a lot of people were
Ganondorf.
saying. When they first announced it, a lot of people were saying Tom Holland for Link.
I mean, I could see it. And it also just depends on what kind of Link. Are we going hella young, like child Link? because there is a young Link. Or are we going, like you said, teenager Link? Because you've got some options with that. So I don't know if the idea of a child wielding a sword and a shield and fighting goblins and doing all that stuff, I don't know how much that gets over. I don't know if that translates.
I mean, if you want to go late
live action as well as it does in the video game, though, unless you get the right kid who really is doing some good acting and shit and, just eats on that shit. But I don't know. I feel like you got to go the older route. I feel like
if you want to go late teens, early adult Link, I mean, I think actually Finn Wolfhard wouldn't be a bad choice necessarily.
Not necessarily, but definitely somebody in that Tom Holland, Finn Wolfhard, like somebody in that ballpark, because he can't be too funny. It needs to be somebody with balanced acting ability, like the ability to do the dramatic stuff for when it gets dramatic, but they need to be also a believable, heroic person.
What about
who
Jacob
could stand
Tremblay?
up to Ganondorf?
Who the fuck is that?
Jacob Tremblay? He's that kid that was in everything at one point. He's in that Good Boys movie. He is. What else is he
talking
in?
about? But the face.
Oh, you're just talking about little ass white kid.
Yes, that. I'm just saying, like, he's also in that age group, I think, and he is a good actor. So I just figured that was like not a terrible choice either.
What was the last thing that kid was in? Let's see.
I think he's in something coming out soon. Oh yeah, he was the kid in Room. I was like, what else did I know him from?
Oh, he's in that Mike Flanagan, The Life of Chuck movie that's coming out.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, he voiced Flounder in the Little Mermaid remake.
Yep.
He also voiced Luca in the Luca
right.
remake or movie.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a remake. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Is he just still too little of a white kid though? If he's still just too little of a white kid, I don't know.
He's like 18 or 19.
Oh, I'm not talking about age. I'm talking about just actual
like
size.
actual him being a small person. Okay.
Like, yeah. I mean, no offense to this guy, but when I picture him in my head, he's like 4'2".
That's very possible.
I wonder if they say his height.
And then you also got Ganondorf. I mean, which I guess, as far as the look of him, anybody could be him and be put in makeup and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I want somebody big to play him, to have that contrast.
Yeah. He's apparently 5'8", by the way. So he's, I mean, he's not like super short, but he's also not like
honestly
6'4".
Depending on how you want to do it, is Ganondorf CGI or whatever. Honestly, if he's CGI and you're just looking for a voice actor, I think Christopher Judge, would be the best person ever for that. If anybody doesn't know, he's the guy that did the newest version of Kratos, like the Norse god version of Kratos in the God of War games. But TV wise, he was also on Stargate SG-1. But he's just got a very iconic and very deep voice. You know. And so that's just what jumps to my mind. But yeah, he is the Kratos that goes, it's like, come to me, boy. Yeah, that's Christopher Judge.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I feel like you probably need both, because he would have to have like a human form, and then if you do have the typical thing where he gets knocked out of his human form and then, or he gets the Triforce and then becomes Ganon, which is the beast type of thing. Well, that, of course, would be CGI. Maybe you could. Why couldn't he be a different voice actor during that part? You know, why wouldn't he sound different when he becomes all beastly and shit? And then, like, what Zelda are you gonna do? Like, there's been so many Zeldas. So, do you go more of the old school route and do something like from the more older stuff, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Ocarina of Time with the N64, or do you go the newer route, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, where he could like had mental powers and could move shit with his mind and all of that crazy shit? You know, where do you what and so and then and the Ganon in the later games looks like a damn samurai. He's a big ass, muscular ass looking samurai motherfucker. But, you know, in the earlier games, it's more medieval. I mean, we haven't had anything like a Lord of the Rings or anything like that in a long time. So I don't know. Medieval feels right. Maybe we've been so far removed from that that if something were to bring that back and it actually be good, maybe it would fit.
I mean, because pretty much the only things you've had like that is it's all been TV. It's been the Wheel of Time. It's been Lord of the Rings television. It's been Game of Thrones. It's been House of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. Like those are your, you know, things outside of the Dungeons and Dragons movie. That's the first one that pops to mind of any sort of medieval-esque movies. And that's still a couple of years old.
So, you know, maybe by 2027, if you go with that style, maybe people will be ready for it, you know? And if you're Nintendo, maybe you release a game that's going to be closer to what the movie's going to be, you know?
And then on top of that, too, it's, you know, I guess as much as I'm not necessarily a fan of the Lord of the Rings or any of that stuff, there's probably worse things to try to, you know, develop your movie franchise on than those movies. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But you got all the parts to make a movie. You got a hero. You got your princess. You got an evil, dark, wizard-like bad guy. You got a MacGuffin with your Triforce, where we've got to get it or search for the parts, or there's a race to get to the final part. You know, you could, I mean, there's so many ways, easy ways that you could write it, but I think casting's going to be super important though. Like, if they don't look the part and they're not acting the part, when fans see that preview, they will shit on it. Like, remember what happened to Sonic? So, shit, remember what happened to Mario a little bit when they first heard the voice and shit, and that was just the voice.
I mean,
they still complain.
That's still one of the funniest things ever when people were mad, like, oh, he doesn't sound like a stereotype.
I know, that was so weird. But if you think Mario got it, boy, Zelda will really get it. There's a serious fan base with that game.
Man, they're all psychopaths. Like, I get it, Jastin. I know I'm
one of them, and I am. Yeah, I get it.
But, like, they're psychopaths.
Like, I would be fucking pissed, bro. That preview's no good. I would be fucking pissed on here, ranting about it.
It'd be like how you felt about Moon Knight, maybe.
Oh, God, I'm still reeling from that. Like, anytime I see a clip of this new Daredevil show, I just get more pissed off about how they fucked Moon Knight so bad.
Bro, I heard that Daredevil is amazing. I need to start watching it.
I do need to catch up on that. But, like, it's just one of those things, like, dude, I've seen some clips of it, and I just get pissed off. I mean, this should have been fucking Moon Knight. Just beating up fucking people. Like, I think it's like, what I've railed on so many times. It's all because Kevin Feige got up with this stupid little face and was just like, oh, it's the most brutal thing in the MCU. Dude, fuck right off. Fuck right off.
It's just that standard they set that wasn't real.
Man, that
you
shit.
Didn't like that song though. Every day I wake up, and he was waking up and having those visions.
Man, dude, that show was about as brutal as a fucking, an episode of like Teen Titans. That's not a good example. They go hard sometimes in that show. I know Teen Titans Goes to the Movies or whatever that movie they did of that stuff from Teen Titans Go. They kill Batman's parents because they have to reset the timeline. And so in this kid's cartoon, they kill Batman's parents. It's actually really fantastic. It's about as brutal as a PBS Kids show. There we go. That shit was not, name one brutal thing that happened to that show. Whenever he beat up that dog monster thing and you saw it from behind him, like, come on, shut up. Where's the brutality?
You guys did remind me, as an update, I did watch the first episode of The Cape.
Oh, nice.
I did indeed. Yes.
It was so good, wasn't it?
It was a thing that happened for sure. Yes.
You're almost sounding like you didn't like it, Heather. Can you expound upon that, please? I'm confused.
For lack of better words, yeah, I did not like it. It's one of those where the funny thing is it's already been a few weeks now since I've seen it, and I've already forgotten like most of what actually happened, except for like there's a guy that he's the villain and he has like chess piece eyes, and like I forget the guy's name. He's in a lot of stuff, but he was like, the main guy was having a conversation with him probably like 2 scenes before we see him as the bad guy, but they still felt the need to like show you a flashback of who this guy was from 2 scenes earlier. As if the chess eyes made us not recognize who this guy was. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Heather, are you saying that The Cape was a bad show?
I think that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I can buy that. It went for like 10, 12 seasons, didn't it?
Did it though? Or is that 10, 12 episodes? Is that what you meant?
I mean, yeah, everybody knows one episode of The Cape's worth a season of any other show.
I had not heard that, but that's good to know.
Yeah, I remember when I watched it, I was over at Jastin's place, and we watched the first episode of The Cape, and I felt like I sat there for 22 hours.
Now that does feel accurate. When you explained it that way, that is correct. Yeah.
Are you saying I didn't sit there for 22 hours? Because I could have sworn I did.
I think you're right. I must have.
Because I could have sworn we started watching it at like 8 p.m. And when we were done, it was 6 p.m. the next day.
Did you regret everything in your life? Question all the decisions you've ever made?
I mean, it was so long ago. I mean, who's to say?
I do also remember at the end that like.
What do you mean by chess eyes? Like he had
You don't remember that, Jastin? Like in his eyes, he had like a queen chess piece and like a rook chess piece or some shit.
I don't remember. Oh, why would that be there?
Because he's a bad guy, Jazz. He's playing chess when the other people are playing capes.
Isn't that his name? I don't remember. It's something chess related is the guy's name.
Isn't it like the Grandmaster or something? I don't know.
Something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, but I just remember because like the main guy his job is that he's a cop, and like he basically has to like leave his family, and he goes like in disguise as like his son's favorite superhero, the Cape, And I just remember that, like, the very end scene of that episode, he comes back to him, like, through the window, like, very Batman-like. He just, like, he comes to his son through the window and talks to him, basically saying, like, hey, I know your dad. And you know what? He's a good cop. And I'm like, why is it the first thing you tell him? Like, you know what? He's a good dad. He loves you a lot. Like, anything is like, I know your dad. He's a good cop. Like, it was just the weirdest. Like, why are we prioritizing that as the thing you want to make sure your son knows first, is that he was a good cop over a good dad, or, you know what I mean, or somebody who loves you or whatever. It was just very, very corny in that way.
Why is it that every time on a TV show or a movie, when they call somebody a good cop, they're a horrible person?
Yeah, he didn't even say he's a good man. Like, yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, I know your dad. He's a good man. No, he's a good cop. Like, that was his identifier.
Like, nobody ever says, like, oh, look at that good cop just doing good cop shit. It's always like, hey, this cop just got, accused of beating this person. They're like, it can't be. He's a good cop.
And also, to answer your question, the bad guy's name, it is actually just Chess. Chess is the villain's name.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I remember it being bad, but, oh, man. Wow.
And at one point, he gets a video from Chess or whoever, but it's like, it's just a voice video. And he's like, it's very Saw-like, with like just a disguised voice of, here's the guy that you should be looking for, or something. And it was just very unnecessary, I guess. I don't know. There was a lot going on.
I'm confused, guys.
Confused why I don't see it as a masterpiece? Or confused that it was a show?
Wow. At least Mantis was more interested in that. At least Mantis had the.
You've just been stung by the Mantis.
Jastin, you don't remember, though? You don't remember him learning cape technique. Remember he could, like, throw his cape and grab shit?
Why would you need that if you have hands? Is there a need to cape grab?
Because the cape goes further than your hands, Jastin. He, Mr. Fantastic.
So you'd be like, okay, I can't take 2 steps, so let me use this.
Yeah, it's because it's quick. Come on, Jesse, you can't tell me you forgot about Cape Tata.
Oh my! I might need to get a refresher on that, or at least have Heather watch episode 2 and 3 so I can just so I can remember it.
All right, deal. Say less.
Do I get a say in this deal, or
no?
Okay. Thanks, Heather. You're so cool.
Cool.
You're
cool.
Of cool people.
You heard it here.
You're a super person.
You heard it here first,
Not
folks.
A regular person. You're a super person.
Heather has agreed to watch episodes 2 and 3 of The Cape.
More accurately, Heather didn't have a choice but to watch episode 2 and 3 of The Cape.
Oh, that's not how I remember it.
Interesting.
Didn't she volunteer, Jastin?
Why would you not want to be a super person? If you watch them, you're a super person.
I'm just saying, I distinctly remember you going, hey guys, I'll watch episodes 2 and 3 and report back. Yeah.
Okay. Must have, dozed off during that part.
More or less, that's what happened.
Yeah. Those words were said vaguely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From me, I specifically said those things.
You just heard her say it. She said those things.
No, I was asking a question.
You didn't phrase it as a question. You said it definitively as a declarative statement.
No, that was a question.
Did you learn nothing from Anchorman? A question mark makes your voice go up in the end. You said it so monotoned. That's a declarative statement.
From me? I said that?
See? That would be a question. You were like, from me, I said that.
From me? No.
I'm just saying, you put a period at the end of the question mark. So I mean,
it was just it was an unenthusiastic question because that's my feelings on the Cape. Very unenthusiastic.
But you so enthusiastically said you would do it.
No. I enthusiastically was unenthusiastic about it.
There's just really no way to know. And so we'll have to go based on what the last thing was said was, which is that you're going to do it. We'll just have to go by that. That's the fairest way to do it.
Yeah, there's no possible way to know.
Nope.
Got it.
Because you also forget, I can literally delete every other time you said no, and you just being like, yes, I want to watch it.
You're right. You could do that. Well, I'm not going to promise it'll be, a speedy watch.
Yeah, by next episode. By the time Zelda comes out in 2027, you'll watch it.
Yeah, by the time Zelda's out.
She'll have the whole season watched by Zelda. You heard it here first.
2027.
Heather agreed to watch all of the Cape by the time Zelda comes out.
This was not the agreement.
Heather, that's 10 minutes a day. You can't do 10 minutes a day.
Why can't you guys do 10 minutes a day?
Because
you haven't even watched all of it.
Man, we watched the first episode when it aired. Okay, that's worse.
That's worse than watching the entire thing?
Yes.
Nah, I don't buy it.
When we watched it, it had commercial breaks we had to wait through.
10 minutes a day, Heather. That's nothing.
Are we doing this journey together then? If it's only 10 minutes a day, guys?
No, we already did.
I'm going to support you every step of the way.
You did one episode, though. This is for the whole thing.
I'm pretty sure we watched 2 or 3 back in the day. I mean, we hated ourselves.
We were waiting for the Cape Feather. We anticipated it.
You heard it here first, guys. They want me to hate myself. That's what I just heard.
We had to watch it with commercial breaks, Heather.
We lined up at the TV, Heather, to watch it.
I think we watched the Super Bowl and then watched the first episode because it was like debuting after the Super Bowl. The first episode of the Cape.
We were there for it, Heather. Just couldn't wait for it to begin.
I'm getting mixed reviews, guys.
So I feel like, just 10 minutes a day, just to show your support for us,
You sound like one of those infomercials. For just 10 minutes a day, you could support your local podcast.
Yeah. See, you just said it, Heather. We agree. We're all in agreement now. Good.
I feel like you're just going to make one of those CapCut videos of me just saying all these things and put it out for everybody to see on socials.
The music and everything.
Look what Heather agreed to do. It's just a back-to-back of,
I'll watch the Cape.
I'm watching the Cape.
I'll watch the Cape.
I said that. Me, I said that.
B, I said that. B, I'll watch the Cape. I'll watch the Cape. I'll watch the Cape.
Enthusiastic. 10
minutes a day. 10 minutes a day.
I'm just glad we came to a consensus.
Oh boy.
You guys ready to bag this up now?
Black bag.
I guess so.
Somebody will listen to me. Nobody knows anything but you. All right. Are you ready? Yep. Come on.
Cinema Slayers. Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Slayers podcast. I'm Sterling. And as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with the new movie, Black Bag. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes in the description to allow you to jump around if you so require in both audio and video formats. And with all that, I'm going to go first, guys. Can I go first?
Do it.
You know, it was really just kind of refreshing to watch a good movie. I feel like it's been a while since I just got to go to the movie theater and just watch a good movie. And one of my favorite things about this movie is it is probably one of the leanest movies I've ever seen. There is like not a scrap of fat in this movie. It is just almost 100% dedicated to just the story it is telling. Just no excess. I mean, the first scene, you're like, oh, this is just going to establish stuff. Nope. It's literally the beginning of the plot. Like, the plot of this whole thing starts within 15 to 30 seconds of the movie starting. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it used a lot of interesting camera choices. I love the score. The score to me was one of the best things I've really seen in a movie in a long time. The score in this to me just really helped establish the mood and the chaotic franticness of mental states of people throughout the movie, and just so many things. Like, I just, every time you'd get these just notes, like, because some of the songs were just like notes almost. It almost didn't feel like there was like chords and like harmonics or any of that stuff. It was kind of like almost a random note progression. And to me, they always fit, and it always helped really establish the mood and the mentality of the scenes they were going through. I think it's incredibly well shot. It's incredibly well acted. There's a woman in this movie that apparently she also played Amy Winehouse in the Amy Winehouse biopic. Yeah, I'm never going to watch that, but, you know, I might watch other stuff she's in. I've seen clips of that. And I'm not going to lie, I'm flabbergasted that those are the same person. Because the scenes I've seen from Amy physically hurt to watch. And she's fantastic in this movie. I mean, Michael Fassbender, great, as typically always. Outside of what, Jonah Hex? Do you remember him in Jonah Hex, Jastin?
Stop.
What do you mean? Jastin, before we started recording, didn't you say that Michael Fassbender and Jonah Hex and Kate Winslet in Borderlands were two your favorite performances of both these people?
Stop.
I'm confused. I could have sworn that's what you said, Jastin. You were like, guys, I was so happy to see Michael Fassbender in this movie. It's the first movie I liked of his since Jonah Hex. This one, that's what you said before we start recording.
You know, I think charges should be brought upon you for mentioning Jonah Hex way too much. Like, there should be some sort of crime or sentence for somebody who does that. And I think you've mentioned it way more often on this podcast than really necessary.
I think it's because people forget that movie. And I can't let them forget that movie.
Oh, you can't?
No.
Well, why can't you do that?
Because if I have to remember that movie, everyone else must suffer too. Everyone else must remember Jonah Hex. When I start forgetting Jonah Hex, I'll quit reminding people it exists. Heather, have you seen Jonah Hex?
Nope.
On the watch list.
Got it.
So 10 minutes of Kate, and then go right into Big J Hex.
That fucking movie, man.
It was terrible, Heather. It was god awful.
Why do you guys keep wanting me to watch terrible things?
Because you've been skating through life not watching bullshit.
We can't have that.
Just got to know what hard times are, Heather. You got to know about hard times.
We're just trying to give you some of that humility that comes
so
with
you could appreciate
watching things like Jonah Hex. I mean, how can you really sit here and appreciate Black Bag when you don't know the depths of horrendousness that Michael Fassbender can give you in Jonah Hex?
Listen, all I'm saying, if we're doing this for me to help me build character, we need to send Jastin some really bad roles to eat then, because he's skated through life with every good role.
This will probably never happen again, but Heather, that's a step a little bit too far. There's a difference.
How?
Between a bad role and being forced to watch the movies you probably should have watched back in 2006 like the rest of us. That's a little extreme.
And it's really offensive, Heather. I mean, I know you took your good outfit off and everything, but I mean, to stoop to such a low to have me want to eat something as stale as that.
Wait, but it's okay for you guys to make me watch an entire season of a show you hate and a movie that you also hate.
Yes.
But you want me to eat? You're wishing you want me to eat something bad, Heather? That's mean. That's just very mean and spiteful. What is that going to teach me?
That you won't always have good roles in life.
It can make me sick. Heather.
Yeah, I mean, he can legitimately die from eating a bad roll, but you won't die from Jonah Hex. It's bad, but it won't kill you.
I'm not saying give Jastin like a bad, like moldy or something roll. I'm just saying a stale one.
A stale roll's one step away from a moldy roll. Like, I mean,
it could kill me, Heather. I could die.
There could be mold spores forming you just can't see yet.
I swear, in any other episode, Sterling would completely be saying the same thing I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, we're just saying watch Jonah Hex.
Okay, done and done. I'll do it.
You heard it here first, folks. She's gonna watch that Jonah Hex. But anyway, this movie is really is to me the anti-Jonah Hex. It was really kind of nice to get to watch a spy thriller that wasn't just also so insanely action laden. You know what I mean? There's so many spy movies today that it has to have the gunfight, it has to have this, it has to have the action sequence, it's got to have a car chase, got to have this, got to have that. This is just a bare bones spy thriller. And I mean, it really is just an hour and a half of just good quality movie making. And I really just enjoyed watching it. Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I think if initially you had told me, hey, I've got a spy thriller for you, but here's the catch. There's not going to be any fight scenes. There's not going to be any car chases. You might get an explosion. Someone might or may not get shot, but it's a spy thriller. Do you want to watch it? And maybe the first instinct is, oh no, it doesn't. I'm watching a spy thriller with not any of that stuff. So that means that it's just pretty much going to be dialogue heavy and about the acting and everything. So initially that might seem like a turnoff, but I will hand it to this movie. It did a great job despite not having much of that stuff. It just did a great job with as far as the plot of it. Like you said, Sterling, the movie starts well, and it's one of those where it starts well and it ends well. It's just, it really does. Like, they set up something, and then you're going through the story and you're intrigued immediately trying to figure it out. They throw in a couple of things. They throw in kind of these phantom twist so that you don't completely see the real twist coming, but they do it in an effective way to where you don't feel cheated or you don't feel like it doesn't make any sense at the end. And actually, what they do with this story, with this sort of who done it, or I guess you could say who's doing it type of story, and there are some similar beats, familiar beats, as far as you've got this scenario and we're trying to find out who's doing it, and you've got these suspects. But essentially, what they do at the end with what you find out about the suspects is really kind of unique. Like, it's really unique to where they do something that I don't think has been done in a thriller like this before, where they kind of, with some of the revelations they make at the end, there's just there was the way that they did it, and the characters involved, the way it all works out. It was just really cool how it all came together. So I guess any movie that's like a mystery movie or anything like that could learn a lot from this movie, or just about like how to manipulate your audience, but how to not insult their intelligence. I think that's the best thing that it did.
It manipulated, it didn't lie.
Yeah. Yeah. It never does that. And even when you get to the end, the motives and everything like that, you at least understand everyone's motives, what they were trying to do. It's really good about explaining that. And then on top of all of that, though, you just had what was a damn near perfect cast. Like, Fassbender and Cate Blanchett are great in this, but so are all of these other supporting actors. And of course, Pierce Brosnan was great, but man, I was impressed with some of these other people. I like Naomi Harris in this. Zoe, our like special agent psychiatrist, she was really good. Like, Tom Burke had some good scenes. Marissa, like, I mean, everybody had some moments where everybody got some moments to shine, where they really had to bring it in the acting department. And so all these interactions that you get with them, where it's just two of them or just three of them, or it's a one-on-one sort of interaction, they were just really good about that. They were really, really good about that. And unlike something like Argyle, we had this whole spy thing, and we didn't need 2.5 hours to tell what was a good story. And we didn't have any of the action and all that kind of stuff. So, like, that's pretty surprising, and that's pretty impressive for this movie. So yeah, I too think that it was a very good movie. Probably one of the better movies we've seen and reviewed in quite some time, just as far as its quality.
I mean, it's hands down the best movie we've done since Anora.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we would say that. Yeah, for sure.
And that's still like this and Anora, you're comparing apples and fucking bricks. Like, it's two different things, but like,
yeah, two completely different things. Yeah. Yeah.
Heather, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of you. And I really agree with you about the girl who plays Amy Winehouse. I think her character had to have been my favorite. She was so good. Marissa Abella. And then I really liked Regé-Jean Page. And Jastin, I don't know that you've seen him in anything, but he is in that Dungeons and Dragons movie, and he's great in that. Okay. And he's also a big character in Bridgerton.
First season of Bridgerton. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, everybody was obsessed with him in that season. So, but I mean, I don't know much else aside from those things he's been in, but he's great in those things. And he was great here. I really like the dynamic that he brought as well. But yeah, everybody in this cast is just so good. It is a brisk but very intriguing spy thriller. So, yeah, kind of like what you said, it's impressive how much they were able to kind of pack into this hour and a half runtime that it was really like, I was just very impressed with that, especially because, like you mentioned, like there's so many other ones we've seen where it's like they go so long when they don't need to, or you think it's going to end somewhere and it doesn't. Like, you don't really get any of that in this movie, you know? It was, I don't know. It's just the acting was just so good. Like, every performance in this is well done. Each character actually feels fleshed out, even though our time with each of them really isn't that long. And it's definitely, like, I think that speaks to the writing a lot. And just the really great dialogue of the film. Like, I think that probably was like my favorite part of this film, is just the really thoughtful, smart dialogue that they have for every character. It's not like they just saved that for the two mains or like one person. Every character had really good dialogue, really meaningful conversations that you hear them have throughout this movie together. And it comes in very early on with the heavy dialogue. Like, I mean, and what I love about how they set up that, like, that first scene with our whole cast is like, just in like one single dinner scene, it told us the majority of what we needed to know about these characters, like their personalities and sort of their relationship dynamics with each other, all of that. They have another few scenes that are kind of also like that, but it just makes for a fun story to just see how these characters and their relationships to each other unfold throughout this film, you know? So I just really appreciated that aspect of this movie, probably like more than the spy thriller story itself. But the story is really, it is a really good story. I mean, we've seen similar somewhat storylines, sure. But I still think that they change enough of this to make it their own thing. And I don't know, you get enough mystery to where you're trying to figure it out, but you're also being revealed things throughout to make it hard to know who it could be and who to trust in the group of people. Maybe some of that was predictable for some people, but I wasn't like totally, you know, on to who this person was or how this was going to play out. So for me, it was really fun watching that unfold, and also watching Fassbender's character do like a clue style, like whodunit reveal type of thing, you know. And I also really think his chemistry with Cate Blanchett, like those characters together, I think that they work really well. Like, their dynamic in this movie is great. There's like, I don't know, like Cate Blanchett, sort of, her character has like this like sexy confidence about her, but Fassbender has like a really like loyal mindset, and it's just a really fun contradiction to his job. And like, that's just an interesting thing to see play out based on the story that we're getting in this movie. So I really liked that. But yeah, overall, it's just an enjoyable film, especially watching character behaviors, figuring out like who can and can't be trusted. Like, things like that in this are just really well done. They're like, those types of mysteries, I think, are to some degree always just kind of exciting to see what happens. It's weirdly a movie that packs a lot into a shorter runtime, but it doesn't feel overstuffed. It's cohesive, it's well paced, and really good characters. So yeah, for me, this movie just works across the board.
Recommendations and scores?
Yep.
Recommendations and score.
Heather, go ahead.
Yeah, I do recommend this. I think it's smart and it's fun, and it's just a really, like sort of what you guys said, it's definitely one of the best movies we've seen in a long time. Definitely the best movie on this podcast that we've talked about since Anora. Like, no question about that. Yeah, it's creative, it's great acting, it's great dialogue, it's a short runtime. It's not going to be like, oh, I have to sit something for 3 hours and figure out things that I can't follow. It's the opposite of that. It's really easy to follow. It's great character chemistry, great dynamics, and just a really good story. I'm gonna give it 85 planned movie ticket stubs out of 100.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a recommend too. The only kind of caveat I have really uh is that like if you're one of those people that likes your spy thriller to be James Bondish or have all of the shooting and the action and stuff like that, that might be the only person that might sit through this and go, where was the action? Where was the car chases? Where was the stuff that I expected a spy thriller to have? Um, I know that there are going to be people like that. I know that there are going to be people that are going to judge it based on that. Um, and this is definitely more of a spy thriller, but it's more of a it's a brainier spy thriller than it is just kind of like your bare bones action type of thing. So it is different in that way. So it may not be what some people are expecting. And sometimes when you expect something and you don't get it, the natural inclination is to not be open minded and just write it off. But I think that this is one where you should give it a chance. And it is a movie too where you do have to pay attention. Like, yes, it's short and sweet, but I think it's got several different plot points and there are several different people doing things. And there's this big kind of, and then when it's revealing everything at the end and you're picking up these clues and all of this stuff, I do feel like you have to at least pay attention well enough to kind of know what's happening and stuff like that. Or it would be easy to miss a detail or lose what a person is saying or what that's implying. And not every clue is straight up given to you or exposited by a character. There are sometimes there are things where a character will notice something, but there's nobody there for them to talk to. And they don't look at the camera and go, this is a clue that means, so you're going to have to infer. There's some certain things where you see something happen and you're going to have to like keep that in mind and understand what this character might be thinking, having learned or seen this thing. It is one of those kind of movies like that. So even though it's fast, I do think you need to pay attention. And if those are movies that you don't like as much, you'd rather have something less complex or something like that's less thought provoking and you want something more simple, then maybe this isn't for you. But for everybody else that I think would give it a chance, and because of the quality of it, and especially if you're fans of some of these actors like Kate Blanchett and Fassbender and some of these others, dude, it's hella good. It's really good and it's dialogue driven. And if you like these actors, well, that's what they get to do in this movie. They get to act. They get to really act and showcase why they are paid the big bucks. I mean, that's what this is, because everybody had to act a certain way and really nail these scenes in order for this to be effective, because there was no CGI or aliens or big gun battles or stunt coordinators to really help them do this, or maybe there were a few, but you know what I mean. Most of it is dialogue and acting. So it was up to them to carry it, and they did. So if that's your kind of movie, I think you'll enjoy this. So yeah, I was around where you were, Heather. I had 87. I guess you could say fun but very revealing fishing trips with friends out of 100.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this. I thoroughly recommend it. I get your caveats, Jastin. There are some people you say, hey, man, you got to watch that spy movie. And if you just tell them that and they go watch this, they're going to be like, but Sterling, there was no car chases. There was one explosion. And there was only one gunshot in the whole movie. What do you mean it's a spy movie? They didn't do any spy shit. I'd be like, if that's all spies did, there would not be any spies ever.
Exactly.
Like, this to me is like a real spy movie. This is the
it's
shit.
a big boy spy movie. You know, it's a grown up one. You know what I mean? You can't just shoot and blow up everything and solve the problem.
Yeah, this is actual espionage. This is actual
espionage.
Covert operations. Like, it's all done in secrecy.
And it's a bunch of spies against each other that work in the same company. How could they just be running and jumping and kicking each other? You know what I mean? Like,
I like how Jastin's like, how could they be the entire movie of Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
I literally walked out of this thinking, this movie's the anti-Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
God, and it's so much better for it, too. Like, it's so much better for it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's a night and day difference in quality. Just because they do actual spy shit instead of just saying, but nah, they spies. Like, I've never seen less spy-like behavior than Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Holy shit. Like, they blew up an entire goddamn neighborhood pretty much. I mean, calm down.
What about Ballistic X versus Sever? Wasn't that better? Wasn't that about like this? Wasn't that similar to this?
Well, similar in the way that they are movies and they both occupy spectrums of what we call quality. Not necessarily the same part of the spectrum. You know, like where this one's like really good. Like, let's just say, for example, Ballistic X versus Sever would, I don't know, occupy the exact opposite side of the spectrum.
Okay.
Almost. It's almost like I'm saying it was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was on that side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it had to do with the leads having, you know how like this movie they had like chemistry.
Yeah.
It's almost like they didn't have any in that other one.
None.
Like none. Real interesting, really. God, that fucking movie. Heather, have you seen Ballistic X versus Sever?
Jonah Hex ass.
Negative.
All right, add it to the list.
Okay.
I had to do it to you, Sterling. Yo, Jonah Hex up, bringing up ass. So I had to hit you with the X.
Okay, but Jastin, even you have to admit, Ballistic X versus Sever is it's still worse.
Yes.
Like,
yes, that was one of the movies we purchased for each other.
I know.
I forgot who owned it.
It's like I punched you and you responded by nuking me.
Yes. That's pretty much what happened there.
Because Jonah
right
Hex,
now I feel bad. Like I should have saved this one. Like I should have saved this for when you really deserved it.
Like
maybe
Jonah Hex is bad, but Ballistic X versus Sever is one of the worst movies ever made. Just ever. It is one of the few movies that occupies a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Like, what is even a spy movie when it can have something like X versus Sever and then have something like this? Like, what even is a spy movie?
I think
when both of these can exist in the same genre.
I think it's because technically it's real difficult to call Ballistic X versus Sever a movie. Like, you were stretching the definition of a movie with that one.
Yeah, boy, you want to talk about bad. Oh, Heather. Oh, Heather.
I'm afraid for the next several months of my life.
I'm almost willing to compromise, Heather. Okay. You can either watch The Cape and Jonah Hex, or just watch Ballistic X versus Ever.
Oh, wow. Okay. Man, that's tough.
He's got a point.
See, the funny thing is you say it's tough. That's because you don't know. To me, it's a real easy decision. I would just watch Jonah Hex and all of The Cape. Wouldn't even question, not even a second guess, just like that one.
I might even eat a bad roll, Heather. I might even do it.
Instead of watching that movie.
No, because trust me, X is going to give it to you. And I'm not talking about it's going to give it to you.
It's bad.
It's bad.
But anyway, those people, they'll get mad at you. But I'd be just like, but I would also sit there and go, but you're wrong. Because this movie's so good. What do you mean? Like you said, Jastin, I tried to give you a grown-up spy movie. Well, why are you mad?
Yeah.
Because it's good. I'm higher than both of y'all, surprisingly enough. I'm gonna go 92. 92. I don't know. Drones blowing up one single car in this whole movie. Out of 100. It puts the CineScore at 88. Spoilers?
Yeah.
Yep.
Spoilers.
Those two dinner scenes in this movie are probably two of my favorite scenes in movie history. They're just utterly fucking fantastic.
Both of them.
And I love how the second one really plays off the dynamics of the first one, whilst also being different. It's, it calls back to it. It hits some similar notes here and there, but it's a completely different scene. But there's a lot of symbiosis between the two scenes. But man, that fucking dinner scene where they're all sitting there, all, truth serumed up and just spilling just some of the worst shit you would ever say around your partner ever. And you're doing it at a group dinner with two other couples. I mean, when they're just like, hey, give a resolution for, the person next to you. And that girl looks at her boyfriend and goes, man, your resolution should be that you don't come first. Like, damn. And then it's all like this, that, and then it's all, hey, what's your resolution for the person? And it's, hey, how about you just don't fuck that other woman I know that you're fucking? Like, it's just brutal. And then they just going off. And he's going off on that diatribe about how he's not, even on truth serum, he's going off about how he's not doing that, this, that. And Michael Fassbender just sits there and goes, yeah, but what about this hotel at 10:30 on every Tuesday and Thursday? And he's just like, man, I still ain't doing shit. He's still trying to lie. And then just takes a knife to the hand. And then is still trying to lie. And then you get to the end of the movie and he's not even the fucking liar, really. Like, he was lying, but he's not like the liar. Like, it's just fantastic. But like that whole scene, like, it was so great. Like, you start the movie with just following Michael Fassbender and he just stares at that guy. Did anybody else think that was going to be like an assassination scene or something?
Yep.
It did kind of seem like it, huh?
Yeah. And then they just go outside and they talk. And he's like, nah, I'm your boss. I'm giving you a job. And then, then the movie just and it just starts. And then within 5-10 minutes, you're getting that dinner scene. And that scene, kind of like you were talking about, Heather, is just so good at, you don't know the backstory of every character there, but it does such a good job of just establishing personalities and just establishing character types and, those types of things. It's just insanely well built like that. Like, you don't know the backstory of every character here. You don't know their histories. You don't know this and that, but you know them, though. It does such a good job of just establishing characters in a way that doesn't feel forced. It's not this, yes, well, it is people telling it because it's, they're telling stories or they're telling this or whatever, but it's also their mannerisms. It's this and that. It still very much fits in the whole show, don't tell version of things, even though it's people just talking. It's still showing you these characters and what they are.
Yeah, the point was not to exposit. It wasn't an exposition dump of everybody. It was like you said, what they were showing, even though it was dialogue, what they were showing you was personalities. The purpose of it wasn't to exposition dump everybody, which a lesser movie might have done that there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And and it's so beautifully acted and shot too. Oh, and it's weird because it's also really good at establishing tension as they're getting fired up and like the truth serum's eating away at their fucking inhibitions even more. And they're getting fucking fired up and ready to go. Like, oh, it's just an incredibly well done scene. And then you get the rest of this movie and it's, like I said, it's incredibly lean. There's not like a single shot that just feels out of place. Like it just is just one of the most purposeful movies I've ever seen. Just like everything feels like it was meticulously planned and shot. Like, even establishing shots just to kind of show you the settings was done like with intention. All of these things were meticulously well crafted, just like watching Fassbender go out on his boat the first time by himself was really to like help show the way his mind works and why, like, just going out there and, fishing to clear his mind so he can focus on the different details and this and that and just do kind of a mindless activity, to occupy his body while his mind is sorting through and just establishing things. But then showing that how he uses that to also get information out of other people too, by doing the same type of thing to them. It's you're occupying them this way to, hopefully have them let their guards down without realizing it and stuff like that. And, and you get to see these characters do these different things and have these different motivations. The girl that plays Amy, God, I wish what was her character name in this movie?
I think Clarissa.
Clarissa.
Yeah. She was one of the funnest characters in this too, because like she was like a tech analyst but she's like, I want to be a spy. She's like, I want to do the spy shit, and they kind of established that by her, like, knowing her boyfriend's cheating on her, but then like stabbing his hand, but then also the little things of like when they're doing the polygraph scene and, she's just a tech analyst, but she's read manuals on how to counteract polygraph machines. So much so that Michael Fassbender's character is like, you're one of the best like counter polygraph shit I've ever seen. And he's like, which is funny because you did nothing. He was like, everybody here, you've done nothing wrong, really. You weren't a part of any of this, but you're the one that's the most calculated at being, like
secretive.
Yeah. And all that stuff. And it like kind of shows that like how she kind of wanted to be in that spy world and all that other stuff until she sees that guy get shot in the head. And then it showed her like, oh yeah, this is the other side of it though. Sometimes people die. You ain't ready for that, are you? No, she's fucking deer in the headlights. She's like, yeah, I want to be a spy and all this other stuff. See one person die and you can just see all the life drain from her. I was like, that was incredibly well done. By just, establishing things about her character just as the movie progresses, without ever taking a second to go, hey, let's pause the movie, let's pause the story real quick, and let you get to know this character. Every single attribute or personality trait or anything you learn about these characters is done whilst also continuing the story moving forward every time. It's never paused to do this and that. It's all very well done and established out. And one final thing I want to talk about before I let one of you guys go is what I said earlier that you were also talking about too, Jastin, of the movie does misdirect you, it does manipulate you, but it does not lie to you. It gets ever so close with some of those scenes where it makes you think that Fassbender's thinking one thing whilst he's not. In all actuality, at the end of the movie, you find out he wasn't thinking those things. That is dangerously close to lying to you. Because it's like, well, why was he doing this? Why was he doing that? And it's because the movie makes you think he's doing that because he doesn't trust her. When in all actuality, he saw a movie stub and was like, oh, hey, I'll take my wife out to the movies to see this movie. It wasn't, I want to see if she lies to me. That's just what the movie makes you think. But in all actuality, he's like, this might be a good date night with my wife. Because he knows his wife isn't doing that. And when he's like searching for those things, and when he's like, my wife's doing this and talking to this guy, and it's like, is she selling this or selling that? He's acting that way in front of other people because he's trying to see what they're going to react with it. Because he's also trying to think of who is trying to set up my wife. It's not that he's like, my wife could be this person. It's who's setting up my wife. So I'm reacting this way in front of this person because I want to see how they react to me being worried about my wife. When he's sitting there panic stricken in the whole, the upper tier level people, when they're like, hey, it's a spy thing. We got to figure this out. No holds barred. Just figure it out. And Pierce Brosnan's like, the most serious thing. And you see him acting panicked. He's acting panicked for the people in the room because he knows someone in that room is what set this in motion. And that he's wanting them to think he's panicked. Not because he is. Because he's wanting to try to see if he can establish a motive or somebody else's reaction, thinking their plan's working. It does a very good job of making you think it's that, but it's not lying to you. He is acting that way, yes. But it's not for the audience. It's for the other characters in the movie. And I think that that's a very important distinction because that's not a lie. That's something especially a spy would do. Especially a spy that's supposedly as good as he is at sussing out these types of things. Those are the things he would do. So it gets close. It does manipulate the audience, but it does not lie to you. It's very much akin to like, if you want to call it a lie or whatever, but it's like the fib you tell somebody because you're trying to get them to go somewhere for their surprise birthday party. Are you really lying to them? No. You know what I mean? You're just trying to manipulate them a little bit because you're like, I need them to go to Chili's at 7 on Thursday because that's their party. But they don't know. You know what I mean? It's that. It's that manipulation to lead people in a certain way. It's not necessarily an outright lie. And I think that that is a very important distinction. And that this movie is just incredibly good at doing it. Heather, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to say with that, like, again, in a lesser movie, I don't think it would have done it that well. Like, and it is really important for a movie like this for that to be done the right way. Otherwise, the entire movie could fall apart and it could come across either flat or cheesy or just like, this doesn't make any sense because why would he feel this way and all these things. Like, you really have to very perfectly toe that line of manipulation the way that they do in this movie for it to work. And that is a really good point that you brought up. And yeah, because like that, I really did leave the theater thinking like that's kind of like it's brilliant. Because I mean, the first thing I think about is that scene when he sees the movie stub in the trash, right? And you know, you see him looking, and he's just like looking curious, as if he's suspecting his wife of like, what is she doing? But like the whole entire base of this movie is the way that they have this love and loyalty for each other above any of the things that they're doing for their jobs. Like, basically, Fassbender and Blanchette's characters are like, no, I am always going to choose you. I love you. I would kill for you. And just the amount of trust that they have, even when they're not fully trusting, because, you know, Fassbender might have been like, I don't think I really know what she's actually doing on her mission here. But also having that trust of, I know she's not lying to me about this. Like, it's really interesting and really cool to see it, because by the end of this movie too, when he's like, oh yeah, like I knew that it wasn't your ticket. You know, I knew you wouldn't do that. And, you know, just like it was just cool to see that it wasn't him questioning his wife up until a point where he's like, okay, I guess I've shown that, like, I've proven that I can trust her. She's proven that I can trust her. No, it's like the whole time he actually does trust that she's not doing whatever she's being accused of. And it's just cool because it's like, it's so probably in their nature to go against that, like trusting somebody that much, because their job is to be so secretive, you know? But it's really cool that even in this world that they're in, where they're surrounded by people at their jobs that they do this for a living, and it's like, you know, black bag, I can't really tell you anything, and all these things, that they still have that trust for each other in their marriage. And that's the entire point of what Fassbender was doing and what these people are kind of being put through the ringer for. And it's so good. And I kind of love that that's a story. And in another way, that being the anti or the opposite of the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where it's just like, all right, well, I guess we got to try to kill each other and whatever. Like, no, this is like no, we're protecting each other at all costs. That's what we're doing here. And it's really great. And I agree about those two dinner scenes. Just the way those play out, it's really well crafted, like scene all together, with the writing and the acting, and everything about it was so good. But I also really love the interrogation scenes, or the lie detector scenes, I guess I should say. I think that was really, really well shot, because you're also literally just seeing like a close up on each of their faces as they're getting these questions asked to them. And it just builds some kind of odd intensity to it. And it's just really well done. And like the types of questions being asked and the way they were answering, it's like you're also trying to figure out, like, how are they going to answer this question and what kind of tell are they going to have? Like, it was just really good, like, in a way, audience interaction with it, because you're just sitting there trying to think, like, you know, what is going to be the end result of what these people say after this, you know, lie detector test. And yeah, it was just really, I just really loved the, like, how in tune you need to be in that scene if you're watching it to just, I don't know, experience the, not the stress, but I guess sort of like that intensity that they're feeling when they're answering these questions, right? It's, I don't know what it was about that scene, but I loved how they shot that and how they did that. And again, yeah, Clarissa's character just manipulating everything and just I love how she was also just kind of proud of herself. Like you can see when she's doing it, and like she knows that they figured out how she's manipulating the machine, but she's like proud of herself for knowing how to do it. And yeah, it's just everything about that is just really, really good. And yeah, I liked the scene with her too, where she's having that real honest moment, it feels like, with Fassbender's character about like her relationship. Just being like, how do you guys make this work? You guys are clearly perfect for each other. You know, like you're in this line of business. How does this work for you? Because like just really putting herself out there to say like I want what you guys have in a way, but it's like I don't have that with this guy that I'm with, and I'm trying for that. And I just really thought that was a great scene with her. Like I thought it was well acted, and I liked seeing that vulnerability of her, and then it to be countered by Fassbender's character just kind of being very, you know, quiet, very like not really answering her question, you know, and then down the line, like the next day, answering it for her. Like, this is how we can have the relationship we have because I watch her, she watches me, all this stuff. And part of these things too, I'm like, is it true? Do they do that? Or was that also a setup for what they were playing in the long run of, you know, trying to figure out who was setting them up, you know? But I also, again, like with the scenes where we have the psychiatrist having her meetings with people was really good too. You get some insights into Cate Blanchett's character. I keep forgetting the character names. What is her name in it? It's hold on. Anybody remember her name in the movie?
Who?
Cate Blanchett's character. Oh, Catherine.
Catherine.
Yes. Like I thought that was really a good part too, where she's in her session and she's just like really not wanting to be there, and you could tell she's like, I don't want to open up to you, I don't want to reveal anything, I'm gonna manipulate you in this so that I don't have to do this, but at the same time you still get to see parts of her as a person when she's in that session. Same thing with Regé-Jean Page's character. Like you just see kind of who he is as a person when he's in there, and like pretending not to care about these things, and also really having his ego hurt because he was broken up with. And it's all of it is so interesting because it's just basically all character study is what it feels like so much of this movie is. And yeah, it's like it says so much without saying so much, if that makes sense. It's just, it doesn't need to, as much as it has really great dialogue, it's not like one of those where you feel like a villain is like, let me give you expository information on why I'm doing this. Like, it doesn't feel like that type of thing. It feels like no, I'm telling you this information because this is what I found out, and this is when and why you need to know it right now. Like it's very meticulously done. Every scene, every bit of dialogue, and every step they take in this film is necessary. They didn't waste any screen time. And I think that's why even more so the runtime is so impressive on this movie. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those where I didn't fully at least expect what this movie actually was about in the long run, because I was like, oh, it is going to be like a more serious version of spy guy has to spy on his spy wife and like, you know, see what happens here and who's going to actually win out of the two of them in the end. And it's really just like we're doing this together, like, because we're in this together. And I really liked that element of it. And even in the point when like right before the last dinner scene, when she's like, this is the most fun I've had in a long time. Like she's really enjoying like this whole thing that they're doing. It's just like their thing that they do together. It's really interesting. So that's all I have for now.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I would say the same thing initially, just from the previews and everything that I remember seeing. I really thought that this movie was going to be Kate Blanchett versus Michael Fassbender. I thought really that's what the movie was going to be. I thought that it was pretty much going to be them against each other, or and now I figured it wouldn't necessarily be who one ups the other, or it's going to wind up being those two and one of them wins. I figured that it wouldn't just be that, but I did think the majority of the movie was going to be that. Like, we already know she's guilty, but I figured maybe the movie is more about him finding out why, or maybe finding out the reasons, and maybe there's some things about it that he doesn't know, or maybe he finds out it's a justified reason. But I really, really thought it was kind of going to be a spy versus spy, husband versus wife type of deal. And kind of to what Sterling was alluding to, what it winds up being is so much that they are making it look like that on the outside, while they are trying to unravel what is actually going on the inside and trying to get down to the bottom of it. But I like how initially that's what it seems like. And you're seeing all of these scenes and the movie ticket stub, and it was just kind of like what you guys said. You see, it seems suspicious. It looks like Fassbender suspects something, but really he's such a meticulous and calculating and good spy that more or less he's storing information more than he is making a judgment call on it. It's kind of like, well, I feel like he's one of those people where he's really thinking about all of the scenarios. Like, okay, could she have went and saw this movie with this stub? Yes, the possibility is there, but if she was trying to hide this from me, would she really be this sloppy? Like, would she really be this, like, would she have done this if she was trying to keep it from me? Would she have done a better job than this? Probably so. So,
see, and I really loved that scene with that reveal too, when he's just like, somebody actually thought that you were so bad at this that you would, if you're having an affair or doing whatever, you're having this secret life without me, that you would just so absent-mindedly leave a ticket stub in the trash can, like I wouldn't know that wasn't you. And they're just like, heh. I would have like a little couple laugh together about how stupid this other person is.
Yeah. So even if that was a possibility, he's already pretty much counted that it's not. The more likelihood is she's, like you said, she didn't do that. So it's like, okay, who did? And I think a lot of it for him is he was so good about not showing his hand. That was the best thing about him. He never really showed his hand. And even when he maybe thought he knew what the answer was, he still wouldn't act just because he thought there might be, just on the off chance that there might be more to it. Just like when him and James, Rage John Page, that character, when they were on the boat, and you see him kind of reaching for the gun, but then doesn't, I think there he kind of had a feeling that James was involved. He knew maybe this was likely it, but I feel like George Fassbender's character is like, but I think there's more at play.
Exactly.
Isn't the time.
Yes.
Like, I know probably him, but I don't, but I still feel like there's something else.
Yes. As in, this is the guy that's doing this, but why and who else is he potentially working with or whatever? What's the other side of this that I don't know yet?
Yeah.
If I kill him,
I don't have all the answers yet.
I could kill him now and I'd be justified, but also I wouldn't get my answers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wait.
Yep. So wait. So I thought that was really cool. And the boat fishing analogy is really cool too. The whole thing with the boat is cool too, because yes, he was out there fishing and that's how he likes to think. And that's something that he likes to do. But this whole movie is about essentially all of these people are fishing in a way, putting out lures, seeing who bites, kind of putting out something, projecting something to see what reaction you get, trying to calculate what the other person is doing, trying to put out lures, so to speak. So, I mean, a lot of this, since these are all spies and these are all people that are good at calculating people, interpreting behaviors, reading people, etc., all of them are kind of doing this, but it's just about who is doing it the best. And you kind of understand why they are such a good husband and wife couple, because of these people. They are just the best at doing this, and definitely the best at doing it together. So that I think was something that was very cool about it. So I love the boating and the fishing analogy and just how it played into that's exactly what we were doing. And even at the beginning of the movie, it was cool when, he threw the reel in and he didn't catch a fish. And it was kind of similar to the movie. We had just started out. He didn't have the suspect yet. He didn't really know what he was doing yet. He didn't really know who he was supposed to be looking at yet, but this is what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to try to play some people. He's going to have to manipulate. He's going to have to kind of essentially put some lures out there to see who bites, and so that's kind of how they set it up. And yeah, the dinner scenes were great and I just love the full circle moment of them. I like how initially it was used to do exactly everything we said. You're getting inklings of these characters, and these characters are saying all of this stuff, and it was a really good way of showing everybody's personality. But then I love how we circle back to that and we're doing something similar, but putting that gun on the table and this being this high stakes situation, it just made everything. I love the contrast of those two scenes, but also in a way how the scenes were similar in a way. So all of that was cool, but just adding that extra danger, putting that gun on the table, this being the pivotal scene where we're going to find out what's going on. I mean, all of that was great. How you have the one that was kind of chaotic and fun, but then you had one that was chaotic but serious and more volatile in a different way. So all of that shit was pretty badass.
But real quick on that last dinner scene, I also loved it too when it showed how outmatched everyone else was when it came to the Michael Fassbender, Kate Blanchett spy couple, because man, that guy legit thought that they would just put down a gun that was loaded in the middle of the table. Because
in the middle of the table,
he's a spy, but he's been like that office spy. Like he's just been in the office the whole time. He's like, man, this is spy shit. I know how to shoot a gun, grabbed it, then click, click. And he's like, what? And they're just sitting there like, dumbass, we're real spies. Shot.
Yeah, do you think we would have just done that? So yeah, that was just a great call. And just calculating that if the person is in the heat of the moment and we have figured this out and we have caught this person, they're going to see this as the avenue to try to get away. And knowing that nobody would be bringing their guns or anything like that. Nobody would have been expecting to be caught at the thing because they have gotten them all to think that they are trying to catch each other. So there are just a lot of things with this movie that make it really cool as far as the whodunit and everything like that. Also, what was cool about the end of that, and just when you find out who was doing it, so you essentially had all of these people who were possible suspects. But I like how when you get to the end of it, there were two different manipulations going on. There were two different sets of people teaming up with each other, trying to manipulate and do stuff. There were two people plotting, the Pierce Brosnan character and James. They were the two plotting to use the, what was it called? Severus.
Severance.
Severance package.
Well, that's an Apple TV show.
Yes. But Severus. There were two people trying to do that. Manipulate that for their own purposes. But then there were other two people, and they were conspiring to try to get Catherine to stop it. So I like how there were these two different manipulations. So essentially there were four people who wound up being like guilty or part of a plot. But I like how it was two different plots. Two were the really bad ones. They killed Meacham one of them killed Meacham at the beginning. They're trying to manipulate this whole thing with Severus. But I like how there were these other two that were just simply trying to manipulate Catherine to stop that. Because once Zoe, the psychiatrist, found out, because of her conscience and her background, she didn't want that to happen once she found out about it. So all of that came together quite cool. And I don't know if there's a person who would have saw all of that coming. Maybe you would have figured out, okay, I think it's this person or that person. But this second plot, I thought it was going to be all one person doing it or a couple of them doing it. But I didn't expect four people. And these other two people are trying to manipulate so the thing can be stopped. It was trying to manipulate the wife, Catherine, so that this could be stopped. So I thought all of that was cool. It's a little complex, but I like how it wasn't easy to figure that out. It wasn't easy to see all that coming. And then it explains why the manipulation on Catherine's part, and which also is the manipulation on Fassbender's part. When it got to the end and revealed all of that, now all the manipulations make sense. And why there were so many of them, because you had four people all doing kind of different things, which is why it took them a while to figure out, but it speaks to how good they are. They did figure it out. They figured out both manipulations. It just took a minute, but they figured them both out. So that was cool. And then I like that split on it too. Catherine figured out hers and Fassbender figured out the other one. So I think it was just badass, like how they did that, how that all came together and everything. So it made the resolution cool. And I don't know if there's really been a movie like this, because normally I think movies are scared to have multiple perpetrators like this, or to have perpetrators and then sort of your sub-perpetrators. Most of the time, it's just one person. Oh, I'm doing it all, and let me cut this monologue about why I'm doing it. Like you spoke about that, Heather. Or if they're really brave, it's two people. But four, man, this is like that rule it's almost like an unspoken rule. You're not supposed to do this many people, because it would just be too confusing, or it would just, everybody can't be every suspect can't be doing it. But if the motives are right, if the reasoning is right, if the story is right, you can have hella people in the web, so to speak, doing some things. It's just, but all the motives and all the players involved made sense. So yeah, man, it was really good, man. I thought that all of that was really good. It was very satisfying, and hats off to them for just doing something a little different. that you normally don't get in these spy thriller movies.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, like you said, Justin, that was one of the fun things about it too, is that you did have the main plot was to frame this person with the side plot of these other people feeling bad about what this other person's doing, but they can't divulge how they know. So they have to like come up with this secret plan to have the other person save them from framing, but it causes this, and it's like this whole thing. And then there really is just that girl that's sitting there just like nothing to do with it.
Yep, nothing.
But also was the most secretive of all of them. Was the most talented liar of all of them. And also the one that just happened to be involved with people.
Yep. She just happened to be, and who knows, perhaps if she was one of the perpetrators, maybe the plan works. but unfortunately, she wasn't the one. She wasn't one of the people that was in. And probably because she was underestimated, just given her position, she was younger. This guy who was dating her was fucking around on her and, and shit. So, I mean, it's like, I feel like she was underestimated, but to Fassbender and Catherine's credit, they didn't underestimate any of them. They were like, all of these people could potentially be involved. It's up to us to find out exactly how. They didn't underestimate anybody, They knew that anyone was capable, including the director, the one giving the orders and saying, find the mole and all of that stuff. They didn't put it past any one of them to be a perpetrator. But like Heather said, also it was cool though, is that they knew anybody could be a perpetrator, but still to have the trust in themselves to figure it out.
And I also liked that, they also knew that the director that was the catalyst for all of it was insulated enough that they couldn't just go get him fired too. Like he was insulated enough, but they also knew what they did shook him. And they're like, oh yeah, he's gone. Like Kate Winslet's like, yeah, he's gone. Like he'll step aside. Like we might not be able to throw him in jail or do this or that or whatever, but he's gone. And I dug that too. And also like with Pierce Brosnan, like, which was so great about him in this movie is that like, yeah, he's been James Bond. He's been Remington Steele. So he's been those guys that like were the spy in the spy movies we were talking about. But he's in this. It's the complete opposite, and it's fantastic. And like he did some really great things about like when he's getting like mad because like his whole plan's unraveling and stuff. Like he just has like one eye twitch. I was like, that was really good, Pierce Brosnan. Way to go. Way better than everything you did in Mamma Mia. But anyway, you guys got any more thoughts about this Black Bag movie?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Guys, we did so good today. Look at us.
I'm proud of us.
We learned a lot from watching a movie like Black Bag.
Even with all those tangents.
Yeah, we did so good.
We made good time.
I'm real proud of us, guys. While I add time to the episode by talking about how proud I am. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the CineScores podcast. Check us out on the internet, www.cineslayers.com. We are CineSlayers podcast on Facebook. We're cinema_slayers on Threads, Instagram, Letterboxd. We're at CineSlayers pod on TikTok and YouTube. Give us 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate it. Really help us out. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends. And most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love.
I mean, I guess Fassbender and Blanchett being together.
Yes, it has to be both.
Yes.
Shout out to Plug Me, Go Mundo, and Show for our theme song and logos respectively. We hear the CineScores podcast, Pro Slut, Pro Sydney, Pro Naked. What was the other one I added last week? Oh, there's one more I added. What was it?
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to remember what movie was last week.
It was Novocaine.
Oh, right. I don't remember.
I added one and I don't remember what it was.
I don't either.
Pro Slut, Pro Sydney, Pro Naked. Pro. I'll remember by next week, guys.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Next week we'll remember the other thing we were pro. You Cinnamon fans, you were enough. Justice for Chris, justice for Todd, justice for all those wonderful stunt people, animators, and caterers that make all our movie watching dreams possible. And as always in these podcasts, these YouTube videos, and most importantly, nope, I fucked that up. As always in the TikToks, the YouTube videos, and most importantly, this podcast, just remember, according to Jastin, Moon Knight is the best picture winner.
Was it Pro-Quating? Pro-Jack Waiting? No.
I do not remember at all.
I'll get it. I'll remember next week. I'll put a note in.
Cinema Slayers.
Disappointed. I'm disappointed.
I tried. I'm sorry.
It's got to be something. Is it food related?
Maybe. I just thought because we kept talking about like Jack Quaid is Jack Quaiding around all the time that's what it was.
No, that wasn't it.
Something to do
I
with
was
like.
first thinking, did it have anything to do with Jack? I was thinking that too. Did it have anything to
Was
do
it
with
something to
Jack
do with
Quaid?
like trying the different food because he was afraid to try food before?
Was it wasn't the George Foreman grill?
No, I guess not.
Like I said, I'll have it next week. I'll surprise you guys with it.
Mm,
But I'll have it. I'll have it next week.
got it.
God, it's gonna drive me nuts. Nope. No, got
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I don't got it.
But I will. Anyway. Oh no! It deflated me. I'm so disappointed in myself. Oh well. Anyway,
It's probably my fault. All that X versus Sever talk.
Jastin, you gotta quit saying those words, man.
Yeah.
That's real bad, dude.
Why was it called ballistic?
Ballistic : X versus Sever.
Why is it called that?
X gonna do it to you. That was funny.
The sad thing is I don't remember who's who. Is Antonio Banderas Sever, or is he X? Or was Lucy Liu X? And he was Sever. No one knows.
Nobody knows.
And also, just to be clear, when I say X, we're not saying the letter. It is ECKS.
Yeah, ECKS.
Yeah.
X.
Yes. Yes, Heather. It is not the letter. It is X.
Got it.
Yep.
That does make it worse immediately.
Ballistic : X versus Sever.
X.
I'm still thinking about what I forgot. It's driving me. It's just stuck in my head. Anyway. Anything else, guys? We done?
I'm good.
I think we are done.
All right, fair enough. Later.